Emily wasn't fond of nights. The darkness wasn't what disturbed her, but the eerie silence that encompassed her house, positioned in a desolate corner of a forgotten town. Tonight, however, the silence wasn't her only visitor. There was something else, a barely audible sound that danced on the edge of her perception. A whisper in the shadows. She was sat in her dimly lit living room, her eyes scanning the pages of an old family album. The photos, faded and stained, told stories of a happier past, a stark contrast to her present, enveloped in solitude and unease. A soft rustling noise jerked her attention away from the album. The old wooden floorboards, known for their creaky complaints, remained silent, suggesting the sound wasn't from her house. She strained her ears, trying to discern the source. It was then that she heard it, a soft, tremulous whisper, seemingly seeping out from the shadows themselves. For a moment, Emily dismissed it as a trick of her anxious mind, a figment of her imagination. But then, there it was again, a plaintive whisper, a sorrow-filled sigh that prickled the hair on the back of her neck. She could no longer deny its existence. The house seemed to vibrate with an uncanny energy, every shadow pulsating in tune with the unseen whisperer's rhythm. Heart pounding, Emily gathered her courage and stood up, her grip tightening around the antique locket she wore. Her mother's memento. The whisper seemed to draw her towards the hallway. The darkness beyond it felt deeper, somehow denser than the rest of the house. She turned on the light switch, but the bulb flickered and failed, leaving her standing at the threshold of an abyss. In the oppressive dark, the whisper now sounded like a weeping woman's soft lament, stirring an indescribable dread within her. Reluctantly, Emily stepped into the hallway, guided by the ethereal weeping. Each step felt like wading through a nightmare, her courage waning with every tick of the hallway clock. As she drew closer to the source, an old locked room at the end of the hallway, the whisper grew louder, more poignant. Emily's hand reached for the brass doorknob, her mind flooding with memories of warnings, old tales her grandmother told of the weeping spirit, a cursed soul locked away for eternity. With a deep breath, she twisted the doorknob. As the door creaked open, a chill wind swept past her, and for a moment the whisper seemed to grow into a desperate wail. Emily stood frozen, on the brink of uncovering a spectral secret her family had hidden for years. This was just the beginning. She was about to step into a world she didn't know existed, a world where the line between reality and nightmares was about to blur. Little did Emily know, this was her first encounter with the cursed specter, the weeping phantom that was to haunt her existence and lead her into an abyss of unspeakable horrors. Her heart pounded like a war drum in her chest as Emily pushed the door further open. The room, hidden for decades, unveiled itself in the hazy silver light filtering through a crack in the weathered curtains. Its air was stagnant, thick with old grief and secrets. The whisper, now a muffled sob, was omnipresent, no longer tied to the shadows but resonating from the room's very core. Dust particles swirled in the cold drafts, casting eerie dances on the antique furniture. In the room's dead silence, the sobbing felt louder, a haunting symphony of endless pain and despair. There was a cracked mirror hanging on the wall, the glass tarnished with age. As Emily's gaze fell upon it, a shiver ran down her spine. In the reflection, she saw a figure draped in tattered robes hovering beside her. The spectral figure had no face, just a dark void, yet Emily could feel its sorrow, its eternal weeping reverberating around the room. As their eyes met, the phantom wailed in agony, its invisible hands reaching out towards Emily. The room's temperature plummeted, each wailing echo seeming to consume the warmth, leaving behind an icy chill of dread. Emily wanted to run, to escape this tangible nightmare, but her legs wouldn't obey. The spirit came closer, its form wavering, distorting the room's reality. The spectral wails grew louder, the figure's faceless countenance pulsating with each mournful cry. Emily felt the room darken around her, the ghost's sorrow manifesting as an all-consuming shadow. Suddenly, her mother's locket around her neck grew hot. An instinctive force urged her to open it. As she did, the small portrait of her mother seemed to glow, casting a soft, warm light around her. The spectral figure recoiled, its wails transforming into a ghastly screech, like the tearing of the fabric of reality itself. Emily, clutching the locket, felt a rush of courage. She looked straight into the faceless void of the phantom, her voice a tremulous whisper. "Who are you?" As if responding to her query, the room's suffocating darkness began to recede. The phantom's wailing subsided, replaced by an echo of a name forgotten by time and erased from the family's history. The name of a woman once loved, now cursed and locked away, forced to live in eternity as the weeping phantom. Emily was left standing in the now quiet room, the echo of the ghostly encounter lingering in the air. The reality of her family's spectral secret weighed heavy on her heart, the whispered name ringing in her ears. Emily was not alone in the house anymore. The faceless ghost had made itself known, marking the beginning of her terrifying journey into the world of the cursed. Emily spent the following days researching her family's history, driven by a desperate need to understand the faceless phantom's connection to her family. The ghost's mournful whispers echoed continuously in her mind, a haunting melody accompanying her throughout her investigation. In the town's decrepit library, she uncovered old newspaper articles dating back to the early 1800s. A particular story, buried in a yellowed page, caught her eye. A beautiful woman named Agnes, well loved by all, vanished without a trace. Strangely, the woman bore a striking resemblance to Emily's mother. Agnes's sudden disappearance was said to have brought a dreadful curse upon the town, casting an everlasting winter. The town was forgotten by the world, doomed to live in the ice-cold grip of the spectral winter. Armed with this newfound knowledge, Emily decided to confront the ghost, to learn if Agnes was the woman locked away in the spirit's sorrowful cries. The town's endless winter nights were chilling, but Emily's dread made them even more unbearable. Armed with her mother's locket, she stepped back into the cursed room, now the epicenter of her living nightmare. As she crossed the threshold, the room morphed, the mundane interior giving way to a spectral scenery. The floor was covered in a layer of frost, and the air held the cold, harsh bite of winter. The walls wept tears of ice, a chilling testament to the phantom's eternal sorrow. Suddenly, the frost-covered mirror glowed, revealing the ghostly figure of Agnes, her face obscured by a veil of frost. The room filled with a mournful sigh, colder than the winter wind outside. A trail of icy tears streamed from the figure's obscured face, mirroring the weeping walls. A chilling fear engulfed Emily as Agnes's ghost extended a frost-bitten hand towards her. Emily, fighting her fear, stepped closer, her hand reaching out to meet the phantom's. An icy shock ran up her arm, accompanied by a flood of fragmented memories, scenes from Agnes's life and her tragic end. She witnessed Agnes, beloved and happy, and her subsequent capture by a dark figure. She felt Agnes's terror as she was locked away, her cries ignored. She experienced the chilling transformation into a faceless phantom, doomed to eternally mourn her cruel fate. Emily reeled back, the flood of memories too overwhelming. She was left shivering in the icy room, the truth of the weeping phantom finally revealed to her. The horror of Agnes's fate was far more gruesome than she could have imagined. The town's curse, the phantom's sorrowful existence, and Emily's own fate were all intricately linked to Agnes's tragic end. As Emily grappled with this horrifying truth, the room returned to its normal state. Yet the icy touch of Agnes's reality lingered, a chilling reminder of the spectral secret she had uncovered. Emily was now irrevocably entwined in a tale of sorrow and horror, her life touched by the weeping phantom's icy hand of destiny. Haunted by Agnes's chilling memories, Emily was more determined than ever to break the centuries-old curse. To find answers, she decided to return to the spectral room, the antique mirror her only link to the faceless phantom. Equipped with her mother's locket, she stepped back into the room. The eerie calm within was punctuated by the soft sighs of the wind, carrying whispers of a time forgotten. As Emily approached the mirror, she felt the air grow denser, the room's reality starting to waver. With a deep breath, she reached out to touch the cold surface of the mirror. Instead of the hard glass, her fingers met a liquid coolness, rippling beneath her touch. The mirror's surface was no longer solid. It was fluid and inviting, like the surface of a calm lake. Taking a leap of faith, Emily stepped through the mirror. The world on the other side was a distorted reflection of her reality. She found herself in an alternate version of her town, frozen in the grip of an eternal winter. The streets were deserted, houses blanketed in thick snow, the silence broken only by the mournful wails of the wind. She followed the icy trails left by phantom tears, leading her to the heart of the town, a once vibrant square, now a frozen testament to the curse. In the center, she found a statue of a weeping woman, a chilling likeness of Agnes. Suddenly, spectral figures began to appear, trapped in the throes of a winter festival from centuries ago. Their joyous laughter and dances were a stark contrast to the town's current state of frozen desolation. Among these figures, Emily spotted Agnes, her eyes filled with fear as a dark figure approached her, echoing the haunting memories she'd experienced. Emily felt an icy hand on her shoulder. She turned around to find Agnes's ghost standing beside her. The phantom pointed towards the spectral scene playing out, a wordless plea in her actions. She was seeking Emily's help, asking her to change the course of her tragic fate. Emboldened by the phantom's silent plea, Emily stepped forward, her mind set on confronting the dark figure. But as she moved, the spectral figures faded away, the frozen town square dissolving into a swirling mist. Emily found herself back in the spectral room, her reflection staring back at her from the mirror. Her journey through the mirror, a surreal experience, had revealed the horrifying reality of Agnes's fate and the origins of the curse. She was left with an ominous understanding of her task, to confront the darkness that had damned Agnes and her town. As Emily prepared for the daunting task ahead, the lines between reality and the spectral world blurred further. The haunting echoes of the phantom's past and the daunting challenges in her path only fueled her resolve to break the curse and bring peace to Agnes, the weeping phantom. After her ghostly journey through the mirror, Emily had a better grasp of the task at hand. She needed to uncover the identity of the dark figure who was responsible for Agnes's tragic fate and the cursed winter that had gripped her town for centuries. She began to dig deeper into her family's past, poring over countless dusty records and journals. Each page unfolded another fragment of the forgotten history. Emily discovered that the dark figure was a bitter man, spurned by Agnes and hell-bent on revenge. He was a practitioner of dark arts, and in his anger he cursed Agnes, transforming her into a faceless phantom and causing the town to be caught in an eternal winter. Shocked at this revelation, Emily also discovered that the man was an ancestor from her family line. Realizing her own blood was responsible for Agnes's suffering, Emily felt a sense of guilt and responsibility to right the wrongs of her ancestors. Days turned into nights as Emily tirelessly researched the dark figure's history, desperate to find a way to reverse the curse. She found a hint of hope in a family journal that spoke of a forgotten ritual, one that could potentially free Agnes and bring an end to the town's endless winter. Emily felt the weight of the task ahead. Not only did she need to perform the ritual, but she also had to confront the dark figure's spirit, which, according to the journal, still haunted the town, ensuring the curse remained intact. With the ritual details etched into her mind and her mother's locket close to her heart, Emily ventured into the spectral room once more. As she touched the icy mirror, she whispered a silent plea to Agnes, promising to end her torment. Stepping through the mirror again, she found herself in the spectral version of her town. This time, she was ready. She made her way to the town square, where the spectral festival was in full swing, and Agnes was about to meet her doomed fate. As the dark figure approached Agnes, Emily stepped forward, the ritual's words echoing in the cold air. A sense of unease rippled through the spectral figures, their once joyous laughter fading into stunned silence. The dark figure turned towards Emily, its form casting an ominous shadow under the spectral moonlight. With a strength she didn't know she possessed, Emily began to confront the ghost of her ancestor, the curse's architect. She invoked the ritual, her voice ringing out through the spectral landscape. The dark figure roared, its shadowy form contorting in rage. The stage was set for the ultimate confrontation, Emily standing as the beacon of hope against the chilling shadow of her family's past. The balance of the spectral realm was about to shift, the echoes of the weeping phantom's cries seeking an end to the eternal winter's curse. As Emily recited the ancient ritual, she felt the spectral landscape tremble. Her voice echoed across the silent town square, each word puncturing the hushed dread. The dark figure recoiled, its shadowy form flickering like a candle fighting a gust of wind. Armed with the knowledge of her ancestors and the strength of her resolve, Emily faced the menacing figure. Her voice wavered but didn't break, her spirit remaining strong. In response to her words, the spectral moon began to glow, casting a silver light over the cursed town square. Suddenly, Emily felt a hand slip into hers. She turned to see Agnes standing beside her, her face no longer obscured by frost but glowing with spectral light. The touch of the phantom was icy yet comforting. They stood together, two souls intertwined by a tragic past and a shared destiny, ready to face the dark figure. Emily's final words of the ritual hung heavy in the chilling air. As the last syllable echoed, a blinding light burst from her mother's locket, engulfing the square. The dark figure let out an inhuman screech as its form started to disintegrate, shadows fleeing into the spectral night. When the light faded, Emily and Agnes stood alone in the square. The spectral town was silent, the winter festival figures gone, the oppressive chill lifted. The dark figure was no more, the architect of the curse vanquished. With the threat eliminated, Agnes turned to Emily. Her spectral tears had ceased, replaced by a soft smile. She touched Emily's cheek, her gratitude echoing in the silence. As Agnes's form started to fade, the winter around them began to thaw. The curse was lifted, and Agnes was finally free. Emily woke in the spectral room, her reflection in the mirror showing a tired yet triumphant woman. The haunting echo of the weeping phantom was silent, replaced by the quiet hum of a town waking from a centuries-long nightmare. As the sun rose, the first in many years, Emily stepped outside. The town was alive with the sounds of dripping icicles and chattering townsfolk. The eternal winter was over, the curse broken. Agnes's suffering had ended, and the town was reborn, all thanks to Emily's courage. In the renewed town, Emily was not just the last of her lineage, but a savior. The tale of the weeping phantom, a harrowing chapter of her family's history, had concluded. Emily had faced the ghosts of her past, uncovering and healing old wounds, setting herself and Agnes free. The mirror no longer held a spectral realm, but merely a reflection of a woman who had vanquished a curse, ensuring that the weeping phantom was finally at peace.